Hey, everyone, welcome to episode 2, where we're discussing the Nation of Homeowners book with Nick J. Gouché. We had an amazing episode 1, and we hope you're ready for episode 2 because it's going down. You ready?
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm born ready, baby. Let's work.
All right, so we'll jump right in. So this conversation, we're going to start off talking about equity because in the first episode, we talked a lot about hope. We talked a lot about history, and now it's time to take that a step further and show you what are some of the benefits and things you can look forward to on your home ownership journey when you buy your home. So we're going to start off with an excerpt from the book. So this excerpt reads as follows. A family who buys a $420,000 home, pays down their mortgage, and sees their value appreciate could gain over $250,000 in wealth in just 10 years. So Nick, right here, you made it clear that equity is one of the greatest wealth builders in America. So why do you think so many families still treat homeownership as an expense rather than an investment?
That's a question that could be answered different ways. I would say big picture because most people are in a rush to achieve wealth. And people who build wealth know that wealth takes time. And time and patience is not an American virtue. We want things now. We're a microwave society. So we rather try to, respectfully buy crypto or Forex trading or something else that's going to get immediate results. But if you ask people like Warren Buffett, there is a conversation that he has one time with Jeff Bezos. We talked about wealth is about investing over time and slowly. You're guaranteed to be rich. And Jeff Bezos says, if it's so easy, why doesn't everybody do it? And Buffett says, because people are impatient. That's the key. We have to train a generation of people to understand the long-term value. And so we have to spend more time promoting that, discussing it, making that cool. If we can make patience cool, we have the whole entire movement.
Yeah. What are a couple ways you think we can make patience cool?
I think I'm pretty cool. I think a T-shirt would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
That says like, patience is the new legit. Patience is too legit to quit. I don't know. You make up something.
Yeah.
But I think people fall in line with fads. People fall in line with, what people promote. And I think there's a lot of that. I think the market is ready. But the reality is that I think that society has to be ready for this reason. I have a white paper that I'm writing too called The New Three-Legged Stool. And I talk about for people today who want to retire, they normally have 3 verticals of income: Social Security, pension, and they have savings. Well, if you look at that today, people like you and I who might be millennials or Gen Zers, Social Security is set to be at 0 by 2034. 85% of people who work today do not have a pension, which means that our vertical of income, when we retire, will have to be different. I believe it's going to be the equity in your property as a primary wealth, as a storehold of wealth, equity in the property. I believe your IRA, your stocks, bond, mutual funds is your second leg, and third is your personal savings. So we have to begin to recodify how we're going to be able to live this American dream. And I think that equity in the home is going to become fundamentally important to that goal.
Definitely. I love that. And in the next excerpt, I think it's something that people don't really know, or I don't really believe is publicized as a benefit of home ownership, having to deal with health in all forms. So that'll be the basis of the next excerpt and of the next question. And I'm excited about it because this is something that I wasn't even really aware of prior to reading the book. So it says a safe, stable home improves a child's academic performance, mental health, and long-term confidence. 74% of families reported improved overall health after becoming homeowners. So Nick, you quoted a pediatrician in the book, and this pediatrician said a safe home is like a vaccine. In your view, how does home ownership improve family health in ways that go beyond just money, which is probably the first thing everyone is thinking about?
Peace of mind. If you can create peace of mind, you reduce anxiety, you reduce stress. you can do those two things, you can improve the immune system, improve the overall health. I think that's the real key in how peace of mind and stability and control over your life versus, imagine every 12 months you get a notice that rent has gone up higher than your income. Slowly erodes what you have to spend after you pay your rent. That lack of control creates more lack of uncertainty, which heightens anxiety, heightens stress, weakens the immune system, makes us sicker. Owning a home can prevent that.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the stability and all those things because it aligns with some of the experiences you had growing up. And so it's very easy for me to see why you have such a conviction that, all Americans deserve and should work towards this dream of homeownership.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Now it's personal. And, if you can make what you love personal and you're really good at it at the same time, I think you can really make a difference.
Absolutely. So the next excerpt is related around how home ownership can impact crime. And I believe people will be surprised by the statistics that we read and the conversation we have surrounding that. So this excerpt says a 1% increase in home ownership reduces property crime costs by $221.9 million and violent crime costs by $959.8 million annually. And so a 1% increase in home ownership boosts the economy by over $1 billion to reduce crime. So those are crazy numbers, right? And why don't we hear more about home ownership as a public safety strategy?
That's a great question. Again, I think that people try to find the incentives that move people to action. And I don't think people truly understand the overall hidden value. I mean, this book was rooted in history, right? And I'm somebody who I want to be great. Okay. So I think about people like Ray Dalio, who owns Bridgewater Capital, Kobe Bryant. Okay. These people are historians of their craft. They want to know everything about their business, about what they do to be the very best at it. And so for me, what my job is to do is to try to find the hidden value in our business and then bring that to the marketplace. I think it requires somebody who has the passion, who has a curiosity, and who has the deep conviction to sell this vision to America. And so I think the market has been waiting for me.
Love that. Yeah, right.
That's a good one. I like that.
This next excerpt is going to be about each generation and some of the things they face. So each generation has faced housing challenges, yet history shows that the odds of eventually becoming a homeowner are in your favor. And one of the things you say in this chapter, Nick, is that it's not just encouragement, but it's statistical truth. There's a difference, right? And so can you walk us through why the odds are actually in the favor of aspiring homeowners to eventually own a home?
Absolutely. I mean, you can go back to, let's say, a silent generation, people born in 1928 to 45. They went through the Great Depression. Millions of families lost their home in the crash of 29. 25% of families unemployed in the food lines. Those same people, 77% became homeowners. Baby boomers grew up in a time when after World War II, there was one home being built in every city in America because there was no housing being built because they were all being built for weapons to fight against our enemies in World War II. You had no homes available to purchase, yet 78% became homeowners. Millennials. We grew up during the Great Recession. We saw our parents lose everything in the housing crash of 2007. And today, the majority of us own homes today. And right now, Gen Zers today own homes at a higher pace at 27 years old than millennials did. So every generation, the majority of the people will become homeowners across the board. The question is when.
I think that ties right into what you mentioned before about patience. And it's all tying in because the patience is related to just understanding, preparing, and knowing that your time will eventually come.
100%.
If you hold out long enough and you prepare, your time will come. But it seems like it's a matter of, will you be ready when your time comes?
Exactly. Matter of fact, in the quote, in the book, I say the question is not if, it's when. And when that time comes, will you be ready? This book is to help you, inspire you to be ready. That's right.
Definitely. One thing that's also interesting is that some people disqualify themselves before they even get into the process, before they even talk to a lender and understand where they are. It could be because perhaps family history or different things. They just think it's automatically not possible for them. How do you help people who are in that situation where they may not even come meet with you because they feel like it's not for me, I can't do it?
Wow. In chapter 1 or 2, I tell the story of a person named Amanda. 2015, we get referred to Amanda because we had other nurses. She worked at Kaiser. This is not her real name, it's her pseudo name. Who said, hey, Nick would help you buy a property. She makes good money, $85,000 a year. But the truth is that she has bad credit and she's embarrassed about it. And so she thinks, well, because my credit's bad, I can't buy a property. So even though her 2 friends referred her to me, when we scheduled a meeting, the first 2 meetings she canceled. Why? Because she believed that she was unworthy. Again, hierarchy of needs, self-esteem matters. So if you don't have the self-esteem, if you didn't grow up in a home that your parents own, you might think owning a home is too big of a commitment. If your credit score is in the dumpsters, you might think, well, that won't be me, right? We are so easy to give up on ourselves so somebody else doesn't have to give up for us. So that to you again. It's so easy for us to give up on ourselves so someone else will not have to give up for us. And the reality is that we rather deny ourselves and let somebody else deny us. That's a self-esteem issue. That's critical. And so a lot of times there's self-esteem issues rooted in, self-denial. And so our job is to say, hey, listen, this is in the book. I know what it's like. Okay. My credit score was in the dumps. My car was repossessed. I was kicked out of my home in my late 20s trying to build my business. This happens time and time again. Many, many times. It's okay. And so sometimes I think it's important for people who have achieved something to let you know, I've been there too. I'm not perfect. Neither are you. Let's do this together. If you could tell more truth and be more vulnerable, people will feel like, okay, he can meet me where I am. I'm not so embarrassed about it. Once that's resolved, now we can improve together. And that's why I told you back to that story about grace. A lot of people just need some of that kind of storytelling on social media, let's say, for this to be told by that person, Amanda, to be like, you know what? He can help me. And he can help me help myself. That's critical.
I love that. And from where you sit, what does that help look like? So let's say, for example, someone who disqualified themselves, got past that mental barrier and said, you know what? I'm going to come meet with Nick. I'm going to see what the deal is. What are some of the benefits of them coming to you and talking about, their finances and everything that can help them eventually get to the goal of owning a home? Like, well, what can they get out of that first interaction?
Yeah, I think it's more so about breaking the narrative by writing new narratives. That's critical. So you don't see people on social media saying, I know you see me as this. Let me tell you about my failures. People want to know that you failed because people are imperfect. But if social media paints a picture of perfection, I'm disconnected with you. Or you're better than me. I can never be that. That's BS. We all are imperfect. And so my job is not just only to be a great mortgage banker, to build an incredible mortgage company. My job is to be a truth teller. Because truth sets people free, my brother. You understand that? If we can talk to more Amandans before they even get to that phone call should not be about helping you overcome that fear there. It's before that phone call is made. my company, we have empowered you to know it's okay. Let's find out where you are, get an assessment, and then make a plan. That's what we do. So our job is to create these conversations on social media, and then create the podcast content, and then help people create plans to empower them to act.
And I love that you expanded on that and really went into detail on that, because anyone who's watching will know, all right, maybe I disqualified myself, but if I come to Nick and we talk about everything, I can have a plan so that when I'm ready, whether that's 6 months, 12 months, whether it's 2 years and beyond,
That's right.
I'll come back to Nick. I'll be ready. We'll check in with his team throughout the process, and then we'll be able to fulfill that dream that I want of homeownership.
That's right.
It all ties in.
That's right. That's right. Give me some. Exactly. Exactly. That's right.
Absolutely. So
Love that.
I want to talk more about one of the arguments you made in the book that I thought was awesome. So you argued that America chose to be a nation of homeowners. It wasn't just an accident. It wasn't just something random that happened, but America chose to be a nation of homeowners. So what would you say are the key moments or decisions in history that shape that identity of homeowners?
So first, let's look at where we were in 1901. America was a nation of renters. The majority of families cannot afford to own a home. Life expectancy was 47 years of age. We just had the Great Panic in 1907. A lot of anger in this nation. 1901 is actually when President William McKinley was assassinated during his second term because of the uproar. Henry Flick, who was a partner of Andrew Carnegie, there was an attempt on his life because people hated capitalism because it didn't work for all Americans. This was the ground level was happening during that time. So fast forward, October 1917, and there's an overthrow of an imperial government in Russia. Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks overthrows to create the first communist nation where all resources are shared by everyone, controlled by the government. And that went from becoming a global revolution. South Korea, Venezuela, it began to move across the world. 1917, President Woodrow Wilson, fearing that this might happen to America, decides we have to find a way to make capitalism work for the majority of Americans, to give them a stake in the land that they owned. So, 1917, he creates the first homeownership campaign in the country called Own Your Home campaign. And he says it's a patriotic duty as an American to own your home. So they go to all the factories and they print us 2 million flyers across the factories to own your home. Then they go into the schools and give kids buttons that says own your home. So if you owned your home, you were like a great popular kid. You talked about like being Haitian and whatever you kind of growing up. If you owned your home, be like, oh, you're the guy. You rent, be like, this guy's a renter. Like it was like that. Kids would go home and say, Mom, why don't we own our home? What's going on, right? That's how they created the psychology, because they realized that for America to work, it must work for the majority of the people. And so the incentive is to give people a stake. I say this all of the time. And actually, the book, I say, if you own a stock, you own a piece of a business. If you own land, you own a piece of America. And the more we can create Americans to own that land, they have an interest in keeping that nation afloat. That's how you create a nation of homeowners. That was good.
That
was good.
That was excellent. So how do we get to a place where we can have a campaign like that of owning your home and getting everyone involved, the kids and just the whole nation striving towards and being excited about something like that? How do we create another movement like that?
So this is I think about this a lot. I say that I think great people have to have a vision for a different future and believe they have the power to make that happen. Say it to you again. I believe if you can have a different vision for the future, if you have the power in yourself, you believe you can make that happen. That's how I feel. I feel that I can create that kind of campaign. I can help ignite that kind of movement. And sometimes it just takes one. Then one creates many creates hundreds, and there's a national movement. this is my purpose in my life right now, is to create that kind of resurgence. And I believe that I'm uniquely qualified to do it.
Love that. And what do you think are how do you think we can do that in the modern time? Or do you think it's very similar to how they did it all those over 100 years ago?
So here's what we're going to do. One of our campaigns for our company is we're launching this campaign called the Future Homeowner Campaign. So for our company, for every homeowner we create, we're going to allocate a portion of our profits to help a family save for their child's down payment in the future. So now we're going to go into the schools with this Future Homeowner Campaign, write a curriculum with the book, start off in our markets first, in order to start teaching kids early about the importance of owning a property, owning a home, and then helping parents start to save for their kids when they're young. That's pretty cool, right?
Absolutely.
And so these are things that we can do. So there's some things that we need policymakers to do. There's some things that people can do in the private market. I think those are some examples of what could be done.
Absolutely. I think it's very unique to start it at that young age. And I think it gets to the same point that they got to with providing the kids with the buttons.
100%. We create t-shirts, we create hoodies, make it like a lifestyle brand. We can make homeownership a lifestyle. Imagine if you got a t-shirt, it's like homeowner, renter, cross-off renter. Yeah. Only homeowner as the only option, right? You create like some cool marketing campaign, some fly apparel, some hoodies, and now all of a sudden people are wearing what they believe. And I think that the market's ready for that. And so are we.
Sounds like you got a lifestyle and merch brand in.
I mean, talk to me nice.
We'll see. That might be a owner of the company.
Pretty soon. 100%. Again, this is a movement. A movement has to be created. It has to be created in the social market, digital market, be created in policy, in content, in books. It has to find you everywhere on billboards. But this is America is at a crossroads. And for the benefits of, my kids and your onboard kids we need to be thinking about the future a whole lot more.
I agree. And speaking of the future, the next excerpt we share will be directly about the future. So the current generation, Gen Zs and those coming. So a generation of Americans, particularly millennials and Gen Z, is at risk of being shut out of the ownership economy. So Nick, in your perspective, what is at stake if we fail to help this next generation become homeowners? And how does it not only impact their future, but also the future of the country?
If we don't solve this problem, we will be a nation in decline. We will be Rome. We will be the Dutch. We'll be the Spanish. We'll be the British. That's what's at stake. Our kids get to enjoy the fact that no matter where you are in this nation, by and large, your modern way of living compared to the rest of the world is because we are the empire. We are the shining star on the hill. We are the nation that all of its faults has still given democracy to many nations who didn't have it before. And as a result, if we lose that, we lose the engagement of being American. We lose our citizenship. We lose our togetherness. We fragment each other. We other each other. The worst thing that human beings have done throughout history is we have othered other people. He's an other. If you're Rome, he's Italian. I'm Christian, you're Muslim. You're Muslim, you're Hindu. All these others have divided people throughout history. And as a nation, for our kids' sake, we can afford that to happen on our watch. We will watch our ancestors who have fought to forge a nation. Under our watch, we'll let it slip under our fingertips for our kids to have to rumble in the dust of an empire. This has happened multiple times throughout history. My job, our job is to be trying to avoid that for the sake of our kids.
So it's an urgent issue and it's a timely one.
Super urgent, super timely.
And a lot is at stake. So it's a serious thing.
100%.
So Nick, this book is more than about houses. It's It's more than about buying houses. It's about restoring the soul of the nation, which is something that we've been talking about at length. And so you're not just advocating for homeownership for the sake of it, you're advocating for a national renewal. That is really one of the cores of the book. So what does that look like now and beyond?
There's a study on this by Pew Research. 80% of Americans believe that we are more divided than ever before. But 90%, this is according to USA Today, are looking for leaders who could bring us back together. The first step is to unify people again. And right now won't be done in politics. There's too much at stake. There's too much fear-mongering on both sides. But people have the power to find each other again, to find our common causes. That's number one, because you build a foundation that we have more in common that's worth fighting for together. That's number one. If you can do that, now you can look at solving a new policy-making decision beyond just race. This is a class issue of our time. And once you have the foundation, now you can find what common causes do we need to solve together. And the reality is that helping families, helping kids who grow into young adulthood, to have families, to restore this American dream, they have to have a part of control over their lives. And only the home helps them do that. So first step is reminding people that we are together. Step two is to find common issues that we all share together. And number three is spending our time on those problems. And then trying to find both private market and policy participants to help solve that problem that we all share alike. That's the next step.
All right, that's it for episode 2. And as we said before, the best place to get all of this information in depth is by purchasing the Nation of Homeowners book. I promise you, you won't regret it. And so, Nick, can you let them know where they can purchase the book?
Sure. There's a link below where you can buy the book. I would just say that this book was 5 years. Actually, this book is 20 years in the making. 3 revisions of this book to write a simple but powerful book to inspire a generation of people to hope, to restore their dream, and to make a plan to own. And I invite you to join us in this movement. Let's go.